Hey everyone, this is Dinah Rose. Welcome to my channel. I bring a unique perspective to reality TV and anything that is popping on social media. Today's commentary is a review for Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is season 4, episode 12, and it was called "What Do You Want to Do About It?" So we get KeKe back this episode, and KeKe and Tisha and Marsau have a little bit of a back and forth. And KeKe called Tisha the B word, and Tisha did not respond the way she did last time. I'll say that. We also get the ATL boys trip, and we get Kimmy, who is trying to mend fences between Melody and Destiny. I'm going to talk to you guys about that as well. But before I begin, go ahead and hit that like button right now. Every single one of y'all, hit that like button. That helps push me up in the ranks in these YouTube streets, and I need that, okay? I need more of y'all to subscribe to my channel. If you are new here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And yeah, hit that notification bell too, if you will. I appreciate y'all. And also, guys, I really appreciate all of the kind words you guys had to say yesterday. I do not like to see myself on camera, so I really appreciate it. It does humble me a bit, and it helps me get back on this camera. Hopefully I can be doing some live videos with y'all soon. But the sun is coming up, and guess that's God saying, you know what, girl, that's right. So anyway, thank y'all so much, and let's get to it. So you guys, the scene picks up exactly where it left off. Marsau and Tisha are at the event for these baked potatoes. This is a big event too. I don't know how many people are in there, if they're all family. It felt like about 50 people maybe, but then KeKe walks in. There's two girls there that are actually KeKe's sisters. They look like twins, actually. But she comes in, she says hello to everybody. Then she sits at the table, and you can tell that she's like, I'm not about to let y'all play me today. When she had that scene at Melody's skincare launch, where she had to talk to Kimmy and Stormy, I think she felt a little green. She wasn't green here. She knew what to bring to the table. So good for KeKe, okay? But she sits at the table with Tisha, and she says hi, exchange pleasantries with her. Even, was really nice. Girl, I tried to call you earlier this week. Tisha was like, oh, I didn't get the call. I didn't see it. Right then and there, KeKe was like, we're not doing that. And she was like, yeah, you got it, because I called you. What's your problem? Tisha was trying to play coy, and she was like, well, girl, why were you calling me? You know we ain't talking no way. KeKe was like, why is that? Tisha was like, girl, I don't have time for this. She was basically playing coy. And KeKe said, hey, put it all out on the table. We're amongst family. I'm not about to play this bullshit with you or Marsau, okay? Sorry, you guys, I might cuss a little bit in this room because it was a lot of energy here. So I am trying to give y'all the energy I was reading from the TV. Anyway, Tisha jumps into it. Girl, why were you at Melody's house? You don't know Melody. Y'all ain't friends like that. You and I were more than cousins. We were best friends. Why would you go to her house and tell her my business? And the entire time, Tisha is talking, and Tisha recognized this look, okay? KeKe was nodding her head. She was giving her a slow nod like, keep talking. Keep talking your ass into a circle, because, baby, everything you saying, you don't practice. You know what I'm saying? You're saying things that you yourself don't do, can't give, haven't given. So go on, keep saying what you got to say. And Tisha was reading that energy. Tisha was like trying to pull back a little bit because she didn't want KeKe to give it to her the way she was about to. But unfortunately for Tisha, she got it. KeKe said, listen, girl, you're running around town telling anybody with ears that I didn't know Melody. However, she invited me to her Christmas party. I wasn't coming as a guest of yours. You went into that party and told everybody my personal business before I could even get there. Tisha was like, oh, you're holding on to something from 5 or 10 years ago? Oh, this is retaliation. You're trying to get back at me for something that happened 5 or 10 years ago. Oh my God, I thought we squashed this. I thought we were over this. Then KeKe said, bitch, I thought we was over it too. However, every time I turn around, you are telling someone my personal business. It's not me doing something to you. You're not loyal, Tisha. And you could tell by the way KeKe was talking that she was being straight up. She didn't stutter not once. Tisha, on the other hand, not so much. Both of them got their fingers in each other's face right now. It is getting super hype. Tisha says, get your damn finger out my face. I am not the one. KeKe said, and I'm not the two. Okay? How about that? They start going at each other even more. Marsau is sitting there wringing his hands. Like he has this deadpan look in his eyes. Like he's looking through people. He has a lot going on in his head. And Tisha's not arguing right at this point. She's losing. T-Man comes over. KeKe's sister come over. They try to calm them down. Look, we family. This ain't about this. Tisha stands up. She was like, listen, I'm over it. You know what I'm saying? I don't have time for you. I ain't got time for this. She walks off and KeKe's sitting at the table. She's like, listen, I'm going to tell y'all what really went down. She started explaining the story and now it's her and Marsau. Then Marsau tries to take the heat off of Tisha and he said, listen, she wasn't even the one who told it. It was me. However, just because it was your business doesn't mean it's personal. KeKe was like, what the hell are you saying? The very fact that it was my business makes it personal. Marsau is sitting there with prayer hands now, like he's trying to figure out a way to keep himself calm. And even though they don't tell us what the business is, I'm so upset about that. I'm trying to, in my head, I'm like, well, damn, there's only 3 things that you would have to tell someone else before a person walks into their home. And this is, again, they didn't tell us, so this is just my speculation. But I'm like, there's only 3 things. You either are a thief, a drug addict, or a child abuser. Like, those are the only 3 things I can think of where somebody, you feel like you have to tell somebody's business. But anyway, Marsau's just looking at her like, bitch, I don't have time for you. You know what you did. In fact, whatever this secret wasn't a secret because all of Huntsville knew it. KeKe says, I don't give a damn what Huntsville thought they knew. You didn't have a right to tell my personal business. First of all, I confided in Tisha. I didn't tell you shit. I told it to Tisha. Tisha told you, and then you're running around telling my business. Marsau was like, oh, okay. She was like, you know what, Marsau? There's things that I could be telling about you. And that's when Marsau got extra belligerent. Dude started shaking the table. Oh, tell it. And I'm like, well, what the hell is going on? Now we got 2 secrets. You just last episode, Tisha's entire family pinned Marsau against the wall talking about, are you a cheater? Then Marsau declares his love for Tisha. Oh, Tisha's a lot of woman. I never cheated. All this stuff. So you would think everything's cool. I mean, if she's about to tell something, clearly it would be a lie, right? But no, now we got 2 secrets at the table. Whatever the hell is going on with KeKe or was going on with KeKe and whatever it is that you don't want KeKe to share. I'm sitting here like, this is more elusive than whatever was in that damn suitcase in Pulp Fiction that they had to get to Marcellus Wallace. What is the secrets? I don't know. I'm so confused. But Marsau starts threatening KeKe. Tell it. You go ahead and tell it. Whatever you're going to do, do it. Because I'm going to spill your shit all over these streets. And KeKe starts nodding like, again, slow nod. Go ahead. I bet you will. And then KeKe's husband gets in the middle of that, points at Marsau and was like, yo, direct it to me. Whatever you think you're about to do, don't talk to her like that. Tell me what you about to put in these streets. That's when Marsau started using his inside voice. He stood up, went over to the husband. Oh, it don't even have to be like that. And actually, he's whispering at this point because I'm like, oh, yo, what is the whisper for? Like, seriously, you went from hype man to all of a sudden quiet whisper. But KeKe's husband is a man of a particular size, a size that commands respect. And then you hear Marsau say, she didn't have to take it there. And I'm like, well, neither did you. Once you get into a space where you got to apologize, well, he should be apologizing. Let's say that. He's not necessarily apologizing. He's blaming it on KeKe. I would think that he'd been like, sir, I apologize to you for talking to your wife like that. I misrepresented myself. You know what I'm saying? But while Marsau is having this sidebar, you can hear KeKe and Tisha at it again. KeKe's calling Tisha the B word. There's a whole lot of things going on. But then Tisha starts screaming out, you tried to ruin my marriage. And people are trying to hold on to her like, girl, she about to have a breakdown. Again, this scene feels highly edited, like maybe they filmed it a couple of times and they're trying to pull things in to make it consistent, but it's not consistent at all. And then Tisha says, I never told you that Marsau was a cheater. We never had that conversation. And KeKe is looking at Tisha like she is malfunctioning for real. Like, girl, are you, do you need to be taken back to the factory? You absolutely told me that Marsau or had conversations with me about cheating. That's not true. And I'm like, yeah. And when I say malfunctioning, I mean Tisha's a Stepford wife at this point, because she said a couple of things in the scene, again, that was very inconsistent. They are face to face with each other right now. And even though she is doing all this crying, water coming out of her eyes, snot coming out of her nose, within 2 minutes, she admits that her and KeKe did actually talk about cheating. Girl, did we not talk about cheating? Yeah, we talked about cheating. Then she says, goes from that to, you know, even though she's claiming my husband never cheated, we never had those problems, all of a sudden she says, you know what we've been through, what me and Marsau have been through over the last 5 years. Now I'm like, well, wow. Were you having problems or were you not having problems? Once Marsau and Wanda realize that Tisha is malfunctioning, they push her out of the scene and they double team KeKe. Now they're yelling at her, Melody was using you. You absolutely spreaded this rumor around. KeKe's like, I never spreaded the rumor around. That is not true. Tisha and I were friends. We talked about cheating. That is true. It was insane. Marsau says you were being used by the Halts. You were being used by Melody. She had a problem with Tisha, and then she just put this out here. KeKe's like, I have no idea what y'all are talking about. She looks genuinely confused. She's like, I don't feel like I was being used. And furthermore, y'all keep saying Melody spreaded this rumor around. However, I don't see it that way. I've never seen it that way. But again, the scene is chopped, so you don't get the full picture. It is really wild. My final thoughts for this scene is that it was really inconsistent, and at the end of the day, whatever Marsau and Tisha are selling, I'm not buying. In this scene alone, y'all went from saying y'all didn't have any marital problems, no cheating whatsoever, to we've been having problems for the last 5 years, and you know, Melody has manipulated you into sharing this story all around Huntsville. What is the problem? This is so confusing. We've seen Martell do way more damage, share way more of your information than we've ever seen Melody do. So you guys are just going to have to tell the story straight out. And at this point, I don't even think y'all have a story to tell. This is just so confusing and convoluted and manufactured. It's just, it has to go away. So in the next scene, Kimmy visits Destiny at her house, and she's trying to get to the root of whatever Destiny's issues are with both Stormy and Melody. And she asks Destiny, you know, you got a lot going on, girl, you know, the divorce and, you know, trying to live this new life. And do you think maybe you're just holding on to some other things that's causing you to lash out and take things so personally? Is there any way that you can resolve these issues and get in a better space with Melody and Stormy? And Destiny was like, you know, it basically takes two. And she doesn't really think that she did anything with Stormy. She was like, tell me what you saw as my problem. What did I do wrong? And I'm like, okay. And I really feel like this. I feel like, you know, sometimes we get into those spaces where you can't see the part you play in something. Whatever that energy is, whatever emotional baggage you have, you may really feel like a victim. And Destiny is giving me that energy here. She's like, I don't know what I could have done differently. And there's nothing you can say to her that's going to make her recognize it. She's just going to need some time and space to get there. So right now, she doesn't know. She felt like she has done everything that she could possibly do with Stormy and Melody. In fact, she was like, well, I don't know Stormy well enough to give her anything more. And even though Melody and I were really good friends and I really miss Melody's friendship, there's nothing more I can do. It's in her lap. So for Destiny, she has truly reached a dead end where these relationships are concerned. Like, she was not willing to bend at all. And it is what it is. So next scene. So in the next scene, we have Martell and Melnika. They basically just go over what's going to happen at this wine event. He's letting her know that he wants to do it big, that he's really excited about his wine launch. She's letting him know, you know, we have some really great things happening in the future, and that, you know, I guess the second launch for this children's book, that's going well. So she's excited about that. She wants him to stay on track with things. And that's pretty much it, you know. I'm sorry, there's not a lot to give here. Other than Martell's wearing the tightest of suits, okay? So Tiffany meets Louis at the compound, and it seems like maybe she had just drove in from Eutaw with Melody on the little trip. So this is the day after. That's what it feels like. And she goes into the compound. She's, want to talk to him, have a little bit of quality time. They have this little flirty back and forth that lasted for all of 30 seconds before he tells her, can you fold the shirts? I guess that there's just like a bunch of unfolded shirts. And I'm like, well, damn, she just walked in the door and you're trying to put her to work. And she actually turns around like, when did this happen? Why is it like this? And I'm like, whoa, y'all might really do have some problems. Because I'm going to tell you right now, don't have me walk in like, I miss you, I'm coming in to see you, and you tell me to fold some shirts. We got problems, buddy, some real problems. You better get your ass over there and fold those shirts. But, then she's like, I really came to talk to you. You didn't ask me about my trip last night, whatever. And he gives her a look. It was a weird look. I'll say this. I almost got like his reason for not asking her was, well, you didn't want me to come on the trip, so I'm not going to ask you about the trip. That's what I was getting. It was vindictive vibes, okay? And I'm like, Louis, are you really this guy? Because that's some bullshit. But they end up talking about it. Tiffany says, I'm really, kind of shocked and hurt because now I feel like my biological mother gave me up for adoption to, protect herself or protect the man she had, the baby by, her father. And that's unfortunate. She said that people gave her some information, but they did it on the slick. Like, here's an email address or here's a phone number. And she's like, I don't even know if I should call or follow up on these things because I may be putting them in danger since people could have been lynched in 1987. And he's like, well, you can't worry about that. You got a truth. You got to figure that out. And I want to say that was the wrong answer. She absolutely should worry about that. Don't go taking anybody's life, for that. There's a way to do things, and that, telling someone don't worry about what happens on the back end isn't a good idea. Then Louis asked, how do you feel about taking Melody on the trip? Was that a good idea? She said, absolutely. She was there. She asked questions. I mean, you didn't even ask me how things were going when I walked in the house. So I know I made the right decision by asking Melody to go along with me. Then Tiffany says, Destiny gave me the impression that Melody told her that she and I were just work friends. And, it looks like she may have valued Melody's friendship a little more than that. Basically, it was the whole Melody is a bad friend conversation. But Tiffany was saying that everything was well. She really values Melody as a friend. Then Louis basically says the same thing. He was like, Martell has spoke very ill of Melody and how she handles friendships. But from everything you said, she sounds like a really decent person. So I encourage you to continue your friendship with Melody. And at the end of the day, it just seemed like a really weird conversation. So, moving on. Tisha Marsau have a scene at a coffee house. They basically rehash everything that happened at the potato event and Bernard and the food truck and KeKe, and it all sounds very, very rehearsed. The scene that did not sound as rehearsed is when Tisha says to Marsau, when I ask you a question, I need you to give me a direct answer. From this point forward, I need you to answer these questions in a way that literally shows me how you feel about me. And again, that's her saying, I need you to address my insecurity. I don't want you sitting here playing mind games with me. And then Marsau answers her question with a damn mind game by saying, that's fine. I'll give you a direct answer. However, I'm going to need you not to ask me questions that are disrespectful. Now, how in the hell would she know what you find disrespectful? If she tells you that she wants to know whether or not you're cheating and you find that disrespectful, all of a sudden she's broken the promise. This Marsau is a piece of work. Then he says, she asked for an example. Let's put it that way. He says, well, the day we were on the porch and you asked me if I took Melody wine, that was a disrespectful question. First of all, I don't know where she lives. Second of all, why would I have done that? I've never taken anyone wine ever, Tisha. And I'm sitting there like, wait a minute. you guys have a new brand. Like, this is your wine, this is your brand. Of course you would have taken her the wine. You've asked her to be the ambassador for this wine. You wanted her to be a brand ambassador. That makes sense. You are now asking Tisha again to be stupid where you are concerned. Tisha is sitting there and you can see the question mark swimming around her head. Y'all know the meme, like there's a gift or a meme where I think it's Swaggy P sitting there giving a face like, what the F? And there's question marks all around. That's what Tisha's looking like. And then he says, that's like me asking you which one of our children you love the most. And she was like, what? And he is like, legit, you insult my intelligence when you come to me with these kind of questions. You insult me when you come to me with these kind of questions. And by the end of it, you just feel like Tisha was duped yet again. And they both make a promise to each other that they will not do this. And it's like, there's no way. You're a married couple. You've been married for 15 years. These are legitimate questions that both of you should be able to ask of each other. And the fact that you are promising each other that you won't is a recipe for disaster. So it's the craziest scene in the world. Next up, Kimmy and Melody meet for lunch, and really it is a scene where Kimmy is trying to see if she can mend fences or patch things up between Melody and Destiny. And she's like, oh, I heard that you went on this trip with Tiffany and that was you being a good friend. That's how I took it. And I think that's how Melody took it. She was like, yeah, actually, I asked her if I could go because, I like to find things out. So she was like, cool. Then she asked her, well, when we were at the Galentine's event, you had came to console Destiny, and I thought that was you being a good friend to her. How did you feel about that? Do you miss her? Do you think that there's something there that y'all can work out? And Melody is sitting there looking at her, and she has this look on her face like, are you really questioning me being a good friend? 'Cause that's how I took it. This is the good friend conversation coming back up. And Melody was like, well, they didn't have any beef like that for real. And I'm not in a situation where I dislike Destiny enough to make her look like a fool or not care about her feelings. But that's why I went to check on her. I just want to make sure that she was okay. And Kimmy says, well, I wasn't saying that, you wished her ill. I'm just asking, do you think that there's room for y'all to, figure things out? She's here. She's by herself. She really expected you to be a part of her village. The village conversation comes back up. Melody says, listen, I've been there for Destiny many a times. Now, she didn't bring up the money in this conversation, so I just wanted to point that out. I've been there for her many a times. I can, I can give you examples, but there are situations with Destiny where she doesn't want you to, or she wants to tell you when she's ready to tell you, or she wants you to be there for her when she wants you to be there for her. And Kimmy actually agrees with her and says, yeah, that's true. So she's like, I have to pull back and let her figure those things out on her own. And she was like, at this point, no, there's no room for me to continue this relationship. But there is a part in this scene where Melody is staring a hole into Kimmy for about a good 30, 40 seconds. Like, where are you going with this? Where are you coming from with this? And I am a good friend to people. And I don't appreciate you suggesting that I'm not. And I like the fact that Melody understands the art of war. If anybody has a problem with letting their emotions control them in the moment, this show is good for that, because Melody and Kimmy sometimes both can offer some insight on how to stop, take a minute, and then literally say what you have to say to get your point across. And then we see people like Destiny, who is very controlled by her emotions and scenes. And because she can't get out what she wants to get out, she's calling people master manipulators. So if we see nothing else, this show is good for that, because we don't always get to see that in reality TV. And in the last scene, we see the men on the cast. They are all piling in to a Mercedes Sprinter, and they are on their way. They are taking their drive to ATL. And on the drive, Martell is basically saying, yo, I'm the only one here who isn't married, so I'm going to be a hoe on this trip. And I was like, well, when you were married, you were a hoe on all the trips. So this isn't different. But the other three men that are married, they are all like, their minds are racing. You can see them like super excited to be away from the wives, which there isn't anything wrong with that. Sometimes you need a break from people, but they're also like, oh, I'm excited to see who's going to do what. And I'm excited to see what I'm going to do, to be honest. Martell is saying, I got some things planned for everybody. We're going to be at the strip club. We're going to be smacking some asses, licking some asses, and some other things. And Marsau and Maurice in particular, who already, you know, this whole show, this whole season was about the things that they got into the last time. They seem really excited and interested in doing whatever it is that Martell is asking. Marsau basically says, you know what? Everybody act like they can't be around other women, but I can because I have self-control. And I'm like, I bet you don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is going to be interesting. Of course, they're not going to show us a whole lot of anything because it's the boys' trip. The only person that wasn't in this truck was Chris Fletcher. We know that he's going to somehow meet them. But I just want to see what happens next because the previews for next week look really, really juicy. But you guys let me know what y'all think of this episode, of this review. Go ahead and talk to me in that comment section. Like this video, of course. Subscribe to my channel, guys. I appreciate every single one of y'all for your support. And I will talk to you all on the next one.